Hello everyone, this is Ghost Gamer here with another top guide. This time we'll be focusing on the much maligned AP Bruisers. AP Bruisers are essentially fighters and juggernauts that use or could use AP, but rarely do. The main issue is that no items give them the mix of stats they need early on into the game that enables them to move into a full AP build or an AP tank build. That said, there are currently some champions that can mitigate these issues. We will examine how they do this and see if we can extrapolate these builds or playstyles to other champions. First off, we have to define what an AP Bruiser is. An AP Bruiser is a juggernaut, diver, skirmisher, or battle mage that could or does use a mix of AP and tankiness. The most recognizable one that everyone knows is Mordekaiser. As the poster child of AP Bruisers, he shows their potential, and also many of the issues that they have as a class of champions. So besides him, what makes another champion an AP Bruiser? An AP Bruiser needs multiple AP ratios in their kit. They need a form of consistent damage, either through auto attacks or low CD spells, and they also need to be a frontline character that is meant to take a lot of damage. Looking at these characteristics, the playstyle we're talking about sits between a battle mage and an AD bruiser. Battle mages are reliant on abilities for survival and nearly 100% of their damage, while AD bruisers are meant to be on the front line with tanks and absorb large amounts of damage while being a threat to anyone within reach. AP bruisers are in the middle, wanting to stay in the fight but playing around cooldowns at the same time. Due to this nature, the main stats an AP Bruiser should desire are AP, CDR, health, and mobility, and outside of Protobelt, the item does not exist. Imagine if Triforce and Black Cleaver did not exist. This is the current state of affairs for AP Bruisers. However, not all hope is lost. There are 6 champions that are currently played as AP Bruisers, having found a way around the item problem, and 20 more that I believe have potential. Some of these champions are easily recognized, like Mord or Swain, while some like Volibear or Shyvana might surprise you. Many of these champions have troll AP builds like Nasus that we'd like to refine into more plausible options. Anyway, I've been stalling long enough. The 6 currently viable champions in no particular order are Mord, Amumu, Rumble, Singed, Swain, and Galio. Now we gotta know, how do they do it? Let's examine the build paths and runes that these boys take and see what we can extrapolate and analyze what makes them viable. Mordekaiser has no mana. He has a shield, passive healing, and he has a 3-hit passive, which after he does it, he gets damage over time in the form of max % health damage. This means that he doesn't have to build mana, and CDR is less important on him. This enables him to build items like Rylai's and Liandry's, as opposed to early mana and CDR items like Luden's. He also takes Conqueror. For Amumu, he has passive damage amp to targets he auto attacks. He also gets damage reduction through his E, and also his W and E both effectively don't need CDR, with one being a damage over time, and one having alternate ways to reduce its cooldown. That said, his viable rune of choice is Aftershock, and he often builds Cinderhulk into Liandry's and Rylai's. For our boy Rumble, he also has no mana. He has a shield, and he has duration abilities, or dots. This means he also doesn't have to build mana, and also CDR is less important on him. This enables him to take Liandry's and Rylai's, and also his most common keystone is Comet, though Conqueror is also viable. For Singed, he gets move speed through his ulti and passive, as well as healing through his ulti, which enables him to run away from lots of the damage. He also has a dot on his Q, which makes CDR less important on him. This enables him to start Rylai's and often build into Liandry's. His most common rune is Aftershock, followed by Conqueror. For Swain, I will be focusing on Swain in the top lane. Swain's passive enables him to permanently gain health from hitting E's or W's or having enemy champions die nearby. His ulti enables him to get health as well as drain tank from enemy champions. It also is a dot. These things combined make it so that Swain is less reliant on CDR and his most common build in the top lane is Roa into Zhonya's, as well as his keystones are Electrocute then Grass. Lastly, we have Galio, who on his W has a shield and damage reduction, and he's also able to convert MR to damage through his passive. His most valuable keystone is Aftershock, and he often starts Proto Belt into a plethora of other items. There's quite a bit of difference between these champs, but all of them except Galio have damage over time abilities. This does two things for them. First of all, it enables them to be less reliant on CDR, because they have abilities up doing things more often. Secondly, it encourages them to build more beefy, as their damage is not front-loaded, and often is consistent or builds over a fight. The runes they take reflect this, with the two most common being Conqueror, then Aftershock, with the first focused on ramping throughout a fight, with the second focused on allowing a champion to survive going into a fight. In the same vein, 4 of them build Rylai's Liandry's, which also focuses on ramping damage over time. Additionally, all these champs, except Amumu, have shielding or healing, helping them be more innately tanky, and in Amumu's case, flat damage reduction. That said, we are probably going to be looking for champs that have some built-in tankiness and can some way cheat on CDR, yet still have consistent damage. Keeping this in mind, here are all the champions that I believe can be built as AP Bruisers, sorted by viability. There's a lot of champions on this list, so I'll hardly go over them all. Though I do want to touch on Diana because I think she is the most viable, and she's also going to be the one I'm working on first. Diana has 2 built-in attack speed passives, with one getting a small AoE attack on every 3rd auto, and one giving her attack speed for the next 3 autos after casting an ability. She also has a shield on her W, and she also gets an ulti reset with hitting her Q. This is good because it enables her to have 2 spells on low cooldown. Additionally, the attack speed things are useful because they enable her to freely build Nashers, which is a very good item if you are hankering for some CDR. Looking at this going forward, the hardest part will be achieving both tankiness and damage over time, and to do this I will mainly be looking at 3 items: Nashers, Frozen Heart, and Seraphs. If a champion has auto-attack abilities like Diana, Teemo, or Cho'Gath, then Nashers will be useful as it will help do consistent damage as well as give CDR. If a champion needs mana and have AoE abilities, Frozen Heart will be useful as it gives mana, CDR, and armor, but most importantly, it synergizes with Liandry's by proccing the additional damage like Rylai's does. Lastly, Seraphs might be useful on mana scaling champions like Kassadin, as it allows us to build tanky mana items like Righteous Glory and still get some damage from it. Anyway, in the coming weeks I will theorize and test a number of build and rune combinations for the various champions, focusing on trying to make them functional AP Bruisers. While I don't expect the majority to be viable, I do believe there will be a surprising number of viable champions. Next week I will do a top guide focusing on AP Bruiser Diana, but if you want me to try a champion, even one not on my list, let me know. I will also be streaming on Twitch next week from 4 to 7 most days. Anyway, share this video, subscribe, and smash that like button.